Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
From these contributing sponsors and viewers like you, thank you.
This time on Broad and High, we learn about the history of a contemporary art collection housed in a building known as Ohio's Pride, and meet three of the artists whose work is in the collection and see what they've been creating recently. This and more right now on Broad and High. Welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Quickle. When you walk into a gallery or museum, you expect to see artwork, but not when you walk into a government office building. However, if you visit the Thomas J. Moyer Ohio Judicial Center, you will. The 1930s building itself is an Art Deco masterpiece, inside and out. It is known for its array of murals, bronze plaques, inscriptions, and symbols that tell the inspiring story of the people who built Ohio. In tonight's episode, we learn about the art and artists whose work is found throughout the building. In this first segment, we take a look back to how the contemporary art collection came to be in this building named for the man who was the driving force behind it.
When art is in a public place, it is accessible. It adds a dimension to both the interior of the building and then a dimension to the lives of the people who see it.
Chief Justice Moyer had so many passions, including art and architecture. And when we moved into this building, then the Ohio Judicial Center, but now the Thomas J. Moyer Ohio Judicial Center, he approached me about helping the court build an art collection. We pulled in Mary Gray.
I got a phone call from this woman by the name of Ruthie Newcomer, introduced herself as staff at the Supreme Court, the Ohio Judicial Center. She had gotten my name from a colleague and wondered if I would be willing and able to help with their collection of portraits. I was initially asked to do the condition reports for all of the portraits in the building. So I did that, and then that rolled into the conversation about acquiring contemporary art for the building. And that, away we went.
We talked with gallerists, artists all throughout Ohio, and built the core of a collection.
Our job was to bring it in and then have a discussion with Chief Justice Moyer and Steve Holland on which pieces would work best. But Ruthie and I think we really were very thoughtful about where in the state we were looking. We tried to do the entire state of Ohio, or at least the four quadrants. And we tried to bring as much diversity as we could amongst the artists that would be represented in the collection.
The experience was incredible. I love art. I was high energy about it. It was so much fun to be out and about looking at all of his work, and then coming back to the court and having the Chief Justice be so happy and excited about what he was seeing.
The artwork displayed here brings order, it brings symmetry to a chaotic world, in much the same way that law creates order in a civil society. Tonight, a new generation of artists take their rightful place in the mission of this facility as a monument to the people of Ohio.
One of my favorite pieces is a woodcut that is hanging in what we call the robing room, and that's where, as you would imagine, the judge would put on their robe before we march out into single file and take the bench. And it's right near the elevator, so I see it coming and going, and it's a woodcut. And it reminds me of the rural, landscape of Ohio.
I always got the sense from Chief Justice Moyer it wasn't just about bringing in pretty pictures into the building, but I truly believe that he was very supportive of artists and understood the importance of art in all of our lives. Chief Justice Moyer appreciated the beauty that artwork would bring to the building, but he also wanted, I believe, to support individual artists, particularly in Ohio. and to give purpose and meaning to those who were going to see the artwork in the building. Artwork can change lives.
I think that when the art came into the building, it was exciting. It was exciting for the staff. Some people were very involved in art, some people had not been involved in art, and so to have them live with art was incredible, because they were already, through the building and the architecture of the building, everyone was very keen about what they were seeing. Their visual acuity, I think, was really running high. And then Amina Robinson and Nicholas Hill came in and did a brown bag lunch to talk about art in general as well as their art, and I think 99% of the staff came to that. It was a pleasure.
Rarely, when I'm talking about the arts in Columbus, Ohio, to anyone do they not know the name Amina Robinson. Amina's work and Amina as a human being have had such a huge impact here in Ohio. In my opinion, it is very important to have Kojo Camus represented in the court's collection because Kojo was such a critical voice in the Columbus Black community through his photography. And I just think it's terrific that we have an example of his work in the collection, and he will be remembered forevermore here in the building. Several years ago, it was probably about the time I was working on the court project, that I saw a sign out in front of one of the local framers, and it said, "Art is not a luxury," and he had bumper stickers made. And I think we still see them around town. And I think that that statement exists here, that it isn't just for aesthetic pleasure, but it's also supporting artists throughout the state of Ohio.
To find out more about the Thomas J. Moyer Ohio Judicial Center, check out supremecourt.ohio.gov. When his work was selected to be in the Supreme Court of Ohio collection, painter Joe Lombardo was just a recent art school graduate. At a reception honoring the collection's contributors, Chief Justice Moyer even joked about his youthfulness. Today, Joe maintains his youthful energy as he paints landscapes all over Ohio and beyond. We met up with him recently to learn how he operates as a plein air artist and to see how he's sharing his gift of painting with others.
Plein air is French for open air, but really it just means to paint on site, outdoors. So we go to the scenery that we want to paint and we set up there. I was a student at Columbus College of Art and Design, did a whole bunch of landscape paintings, and the instructors there said, well, if you want to be a landscape painter, you need to get outside and really do it. And I never really had thought about that, but I always enjoyed hiking and outdoors. I'm a bird watcher, and so I heard them saying, you know, I could combine my two favorite things, painting and being outdoors, and so I tried it, and kind of no turning back from there. I love painting here at Schiller Park. We've got a great autumn day. It's a little chilly, but that's good. And the beautiful fall colors. But rather than painting the changing leaves, I like the bricks. So I've got brick alley, brick buildings. I love the orange and reds that the brick offers. I like a scene that's very kind of almost chaotic, a lot of information. I call it all city clutter. I like just a bunch of city clutter. And I like to kind of get lost in that and have to paint my way out of it. The challenge in that chaos forces me to think more abstractly in the painting, because there's no way I can paint all of that stuff in the 2 to 3 hours that I'm making the painting on site. And so it's like a puzzle or a problem to solve. Like, how do you convey all of this clutter simply or abstractly on a flat canvas with gooey paint? As far as process, like where I get started, first I just sort of pick a location to journey to for that day. So I'll go say, all right, today I want something urban. you kind of get there with a general idea of what you might want, and then you go scout around. Sometimes I'll walk around for 30 minutes searching for my scene. There are a lot of different things to make a painting about, but it's sort of like I'm searching for what today's painting will be about. That could be color or lighting, value, lights and darks. Just an interesting subject, just something that I didn't expect to see that day that I think, oh, there's my painting. Then I select a palette, and so I have a set of colors that I always carry with me, but I'll mix and match them and create what's called a limited palette, where I use a certain set of those colors. So that's influenced by the atmosphere and the color of the scene. I also will do a thumbnail sketch, which is, you know, a small sketch like the size of your thumbnail, and kind of plot it out. This is the chance to get through any pitfalls. So if you're going to put something right in the middle, you want to learn that in the little studies so that you don't trip over that idea later when you have all your paint on the surface, which is much less forgiving. And I'd say to kind of step back a little bit in the process, I say we paint from carefree to careful. I think a bit like if you were doodling and you scribble, and then you're looking at that scribble and you add an ear and an eye and you got a bunny. That's how I paint. I start off, I just make a wild scribble of color and paint. And then I step back and I say a window here and a horizon there, landscape. I have fun painting pine tree limbs. I know that. So when you're excited about something, it always makes it easier. I don't know why that is. So keep it in mind. That goes to when I talk with you guys about painting what you want to paint, not what you think you can paint. Just go for it, because if you're excited, you're going to do better. I teach a lot, and I've taught a lot over the years, and I think many people understand this, that teaching is the highest level of learning. And so when I have to explain things that I'm doing to my students, it confirms to me those concepts, and sometimes I have to figure out even what it is. It's like there's something that I'm seeing in work, others' work, or my students' work, my own work, and I have to try to uncover or reveal to all of us what that is, and that's kind of what teaching brings to my art. Nah, that's too small. That's like a delicate splatter, a bigger splatter. Okay, now what to do about these? Let's give them the finger, see what they become. For a while, I was making paintings that were very light, known as high-key paintings, and I kind of spent that, and so I thought, all right, what do I do next? And so I go and I started making paintings that were low-key, very dark, and in these explorations, I call them my new eyes, or new Joe. So my students that have worked with me for a long time, we now say, is this new Joe, or old Joe? And there's all these comparisons of all these different steps in our growth, and so I'm always pushing for that next turn in my path, and bring my students along with me. And I should say, I call them students, but really they're artists that paint with me. Yeah, and so you guys know, I steal from all of you. Or I learn from you is the right way to say that, but. Plein air is it's a good way to work. I think it is maybe the hardest way to paint because you have so many distractions, but those distractions, you can spin that and say those are experiences that are happening to me that wouldn't happen in the studio. So you got to get out of the studio and make those memories.
To see more of Joe's work, check him out on Facebook at Joe Lombardo Art. Ron Anderson is a visual artist who feels that his role as a storyteller is to flip the narrative and give a different perspective. He often creates images that you don't see in real life and might even seem a little dangerous. We talked with him in his studio, and he told us about his goal of creating works interesting enough that the viewer will ask questions.
Whatever pops in my head Instead of me saying, oh, that can't be done, or no, someone's going to have a problem with that, I tend to just do it because you're not going to know until you get it out of your head. That's the starting place, is just making some marks. You just move the paint around, or you move the pen around, or you move the pencil around until you find something in there. It's kind of like looking at clouds. As they move across the sky, you start to see images in there. My job as a storyteller is to take existing things and then somehow do a different twist on it. And twisting the story gives it a different perspective. I have to see it in my mind's eye before I can actually physically put it on canvas or on paper. You know, what is this going to be about? I know the history or the story. How do I bring my own interpretation to that? I've been working on this, mostly drawings, in my sketchbook, King Kong, you know, and playing with that image and what does King Kong look like to me. I would get an image in my head, go ahead and do it, see what it looks like. If it feels like it can be fleshed out a little bit more, I'll do another one and another one, and maybe 3 or 4, so you get a sense of where this is going. There are some paintings that paint themselves. There are other paintings that, you know, you think, okay, I had a great idea, but it doesn't look good visually. It isn't so much about the subject matter, it's more about the composition, how things come together. One day you'll start a painting, and then the next day, everything that you thought was just perfect is no longer perfect anymore. It's key to step back from time to time. I see a lot of artists will just take a seat, you know, and they're too close to the work. That's why you see mirrors here. If you're looking at something for a long period of time, you miss all the mistakes. But if you have a way to change the way you see from time to time by looking in the mirror, you see all the distortions that you aren't going to see if I'm looking directly at it. And sometimes it's better to just kind of step away from it, don't even look at it for a while, and paint more than one painting at a time. Did an 18-foot painting. It's called Harlequin's Dream. The painting appears as though it's a dream because the perspective is sort of wonky in places. The whole idea was I wanted people to actually be part of the painting, to actually walk into that space, be a part of the event taking place, as opposed to being a voyeur. These aren't models. These are people I'm making up, or things I'm making up on canvas. I think it's very difficult to use a model and make them do the things that I wanted them to do. So I love to play with things that don't make sense or seem a little dangerous. I don't know if I really concretely start with a story. If you saw the drawing that painting began with, it's completely changed. The figure that's holding the magnifying glass has always been there. That's probably one of the few pieces in that painting that is from the original idea. Because you think of the magnifying glass as one of those things where I really want to see this closer so I can understand what I'm looking at. That's where the original concept came from, using the magnifying as a metaphor for, you know, not really believing until I can actually see. By keeping an open mind to developing the piece, by saying I don't want to make this about any particular thing. I want it to be open enough that the viewer will have always a possibility of seeing it differently every single time. That's not your job to explain it. Your job is basically make something interesting enough that people will ask the question, what is this? And what does it mean to them? I have so many ideas in my head that I can't put them down fast enough. And I tend to be one who feels like my work is important for me to just keep doing it until I can't do anymore. If I get an idea, I don't edit it. I just see what it looks like, and I may not like it, but at least I put it down. So I get the joy out of just being able to come in here in my own space and create images that didn't exist before.
Find more of his creations at ronandersonstudio.com. Deborah Joyce Dawson has been described as painting the looser side of realism. She works in many mediums and sizes, and her creations originate anywhere from her own backyard to around the world. We visited her both in her home studio and out in the field as she explained what it means to be a plein air artist.
Being a plein air artist for me means taking my equipment outside and observing light falling on form. First of all, you got to learn your gear, and then you got to keep it packed up and ready to go. And then when the mood strikes, or even if the mood doesn't strike, it's in your car, you go, or you might walk out in your backyard and you get it all out and you observe the light that's falling on form is what it is for me. That's why I do it. I'm primarily an oil painter since I was 11 years old, but I love drawing, so all types of drawing in all different drawing media. I love working from the figure. I like working primarily from life. I hate painting from photos, but I do it. It's a necessity at times. And I have my sketchbook with me all the time. I have watercolors in my purse. And when I have a chance, they're out and I'm drawing people in bars or in restaurants. When I was young, there was a guy on TV named John Nagy. He was a charcoal artist. And on Saturday mornings, you could watch him create a drawing. And I went to my local Woolworths, saved up my allowance, and bought his charcoal set, and I started to draw in charcoal. And then when I got to be 11, I asked Santa Claus for oil paints, and miraculously they came. I have some friends that like to travel, and so we get together and we'll go to France, or we'll go to England, or we'll go to other places and paint. My local landscape has changed so much that I have to go further and further to find things, but I do like trying to capture old barns and things that are disappearing, and they're rapidly disappearing in my area. And Wolf Kahn said that was America's cathedral, and I do believe he is right. This is a series of stuff based on the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. I've painted there 3 times, and these two works were created at the Cliffs of Moher this summer. I did this 8x10 plein air sketch at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I went to put my equipment away, and I turned around and I saw that, and I said, I'm gonna try that. So I tried that, and I wasn't that happy with it. But instead, I looked back, after doing that, I looked back at that and I saw a totally different quality of light falling on the cliff. So I'm an avid sketchbook person, so there's the sketch for that little painting, and this is the second sketch I did at 10 a.m. So I painted that for about an hour and a half, starting at 8 o'clock, and then here's the sketch with a different light and sky condition. And then we probably went away and had coffee, and I said, well, I just want to see them one more time before I leave. And so I came back, and the light had dramatically changed. I started this little sketch at 1:45 in the afternoon, and now the sun, it's facing west. So the sun was now on the other side and threw everything into darkness. So I started drawing this at 1:45, and I ended at 2:10. I made some notes knowing that I was seeing colors that the camera was never going to pick up. I just made some field notes here. And then last night I printed out a photograph of that same quality of light. The values are pretty much the same as the drawing, but the color is nowhere representative of what I wrote down for my colors. So this morning I thought, you know, I'm just going to pull out my little watercolors there and see if I can put down some color that I marked and see what it looks like as a painting before I would ever maybe try to do that in oil, especially on a big painting. When I work, I just feel better inside. There must be something in here that's trying to come out that I can express. Doesn't mean I'm calm when I'm doing it, you know, but it's making the journey from just getting out there and then deciding what to paint.
To see more of her work, check her out online at deborahjoycedawson.com. Well, that's our show. Remember, you can find all of our stories online at WOSU.org, as well as on our YouTube channel. For all of us here at WOSU, I'm Kate Quickle. Thanks for watching.
Meet me on the wall. Don't say words or write letters to the others. We'll walk into the falls and watch the fire burn. We'll watch the fire burn. Sirens fill the distance and skipping our stones, all breaking the silence only deep water knows. We watch the fire burn, we watch the fire burn. Shadows fall underneath the water.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.